Jacob Hansen is the creator and host of the Thoughtful Faith YouTube channel and podcast. His content focuses on exploring faith, particularly within the context of the Latter-day Saint LDS tradition. Hansen is known for engaging in formal debates on religious topics, which he believes help clarify beliefs through contrast and discussion with those who hold differing views. Brother Hansen also regularly espouses anti-gay, anti-trans, and homophobic rhetoric in the name of his favorite God. I hosted Jacob on the Mormon News Roundup in July of 2023 in episode 68. Oh, and just so you know, I'm D-Days, the host of the Mormon News Roundup, the handsome guy on the left. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to think celestial while you're at it. Now, while Jacob and I were discussing the Mormon Church's unprecedented global temple building spree, Jacob made an incredible claim during that program. Let me play it for you.
Every dollar that the church uses is for humanitarian aid. The building of temples is a form of humanitarian aid if you really believe that temples and temple covenants do good for humanity. In fact, I would argue that the greatest poverty program in the world is the LDS temple program, because when people make and keep covenants in temples, when our missionaries go and teach people to live the laws of the gospel, we actually fight poverty, but we fight it at its roots. So any funds given to the church to further the work of Zion is a charitable humanitarian contribution.
Come on, bro, seriously.
This was the single most disliked short I have ever produced. In response to Cultch's reposting of that clip, Jacob challenged me to a debate. I haven't done a debate since my 9th grade speech class at Hillcrest Junior High School in Murray, Utah, which I lost, by the way.
You lose!
I have never made a response to Jacob because, quite frankly, I'm not a debater.
Coward! Coward! Coward!
Jacob, on the other hand, he's a really good debater. He's done debates with all kinds of different folks in all kinds of different venues, talking about Mormonism, Christianity, the resurrection, and a number of different topics.
Debatable.
I would say that Jacob is one of the best active LDS debaters around. He's intimidating, and he's very forceful and knowledgeable. So Jacob is claiming that building LDS temples is the single best way to alleviate poverty on this planet. Now, I have never seen LDS temples mentioned in connection to fighting poverty whatsoever, except in the context where people say that the less temples are built, the more money the LDS Church would actually have to be able to help other people on this planet.
I love to see the temple. I'll go inside someday. I'll covenant with my Father. I'll promise to obey. For the temple is a holy place where we are sealed together. As a child of God, I've learned this truth. Our family is forever.
Now, Jacob won't release any of his so-called evidence that building LDS temples helps alleviate poverty unless I agree to a debate. Jacob is saying that he alone is the only person on this planet who has access to this information. However, I feel like I have a moral obligation to do this debate, so I guess I'm going to formally accept it.
Accept.
Now, some details will need to be ironed out, like which platform this will appear on and who's going to moderate it, but I am answering the call and look forward to researching this topic. So I just want to be clear here, Jacob is accepting the burden of proof. Now, a couple of thoughts on this debate before it takes place. There's no empirical evidence to suggest that the construction of Mormon temples has any direct impact on alleviating poverty. While temples serve as significant religious and cultural symbols for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church, their primary purpose is spiritual, focusing on sacred ordinances and worship rather than economic development or poverty alleviation. Studies and reports on poverty reduction typically highlight factors such as education, unemployment opportunities, social services, and economic policies as key contributors to addressing poverty. In contrast, the financial resources allocated to temple construction are primarily for religious purposes and do not inherently include initiatives aimed at combating poverty or economic inequality within the broader community. Therefore, the relationship between temple building and poverty reduction remains unsubstantiated by concrete evidence or research. Now, addressing poverty effectively requires targeted strategies that address both immediate needs and long-term systemic issues. Here are 5 top ways to fight poverty, which are supported by multiple sources. Number 1, education access and quality. Education is a critical tool in breaking the cycle of poverty. Providing free and high-quality education, particularly to disadvantaged communities, equips individuals with the skills and knowledge necessary for better employment opportunities and economic stability. Enhanced education also fosters economic growth and social development. Then there's job creation and economic opportunities. Promoting job creation through investments in various economic sectors, support for small and medium enterprises, and infrastructure development can provide stable and well-paying jobs. Economic policies that foster entrepreneurship and innovation are essential for creating sustainable employment opportunities. Social safety nets. Implementing robust social safety nets such as unemployment benefits, food assistance, and cash transfer programs helps protect the most vulnerable populations from falling into extreme poverty. These programs ensure that basic needs are met and provide a buffer against economic shocks. Healthcare access. Ensuring that all individuals have access to affordable healthcare can prevent medical expenses from driving families into poverty. Public health initiatives, universal health coverage, and preventative care programs can reduce the financial burdens of illness and improve health outcomes. And number 5, affordable housing. Providing access to affordable and safe housing can alleviate one of the biggest financial burdens for low-income families. Investment in public housing projects, subsidies for low-income renters, and policies that promote affordable housing development are crucial for reducing homelessness and housing instability. These strategies highlight the importance of a multifaceted approach to poverty reduction, addressing both immediate needs and underlying causes through education, economic opportunities, social protection, healthcare, and housing initiatives. By implementing these measures, communities can create a more equitable and prosperous society. None of the world's biggest philanthropic organizations have LDS temples listed among their top ways to help people. I have never seen a sociological study that has linked these two together.
No kidding.
When you look at peer-reviewed journals and you search for temples, absolutely nothing comes up.
Nothing there.
And the biggest charities in the US, they don't help the Mormon Church build temples for good reason. Now, finally, I am hesitant to accept this debate with Jacob because it platforms someone who has consistently engaged in transphobic, homophobic, and anti-gay rhetoric. Just look at how Jacob was handled when he called in to a famous atheist program.
Oh my God. Here. It's, yeah, maybe we should deduct 90 IQ points. Steve said, I teach in a New York school. And Bob said, Steve teaches in a Pittsburgh school. Would you then look at Bob and say, he just said he teaches in a New York school? Would that be a reasonable thing for you to say?
So Steve says he teaches in a New York school, and Bob says that Steve teaches in a Pittsburgh school.
And would you look at Bob and say, he just said he teaches in a New York school?
Yeah, I would. I'd look at Bob and say, okay,
cool.
Yeah, he
Now we've established
in a New York school, so we should believe
now we've established that you're willing to take Bob and Steve at their word on what their names are, on what their gender is, on what their pronouns are, and that you would refer to them respectfully without investigating their genome, without knowing what their chromosomes are, without investigating gametes, without looking at a driver's license, without looking at a passport. Good job. Now you know what you need to know about gender, which is, from your perspective, for anything that you need to interact with, for anything that makes any difference to you, what they tell you is what it is. Thanks for calling. Wait nothing.
Yeah.
I am tired of walking you carefully to the obvious observation after you decided to make fucking jokes about people's IQ. I don't even give a shit about IQ. It's an example of how good you are at taking IQ tests. But the fact that you smugly decided that because I have pronouns in my bio, that this somehow reduces me 30 IQ points, and you're just going to sit around and laugh and ha, 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 while you're advocating for Mormonism or some other bullshit and pretending that you don't know how gender works, when in your entire life, everyone you've ever met, you have treated them with respect and talked to them by their name and used their preferred pronouns without challenging thing until it became fucking convenient for you to do it on Twitter as a way of showing what an ignorant fucking bigot you are, because you really want to say that you are the arbiter of what somebody else's gender are, and you're not. You never will be. You are a bigoted piece of shit. Thanks for calling.
Nevertheless, the subject matter of this debate is important enough that I feel like we need to see the evidence. I look forward to hearing from the thoughtful saint. And remember, no one held at hand can stop this podcast from progressing.
When it comes to nicknames of the church, such as LDS Church, the Mormon Church, to remove the Lord's name from the Lord's church is a major victory for Satan.
Satan.